MILFs, hello, welcome to episode number fucking cuatro. That is Spanish or Italian for four. I think they say that in Spanish. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinque. That's five. Yes, that's four in English, in Spanish, in Italian. Fuck. Anyway, we're on. How are we all doing, firstly? Hope you're all well. As some of you may or may not know, it was my B-day. Last Tuesday, turned 33. That's 13, 30, 33. It's 32, isn't it? That's the ad. Anyway, if you've been around long enough, you'll know the ad that I'm talking about with that little jingle. Back again, still with the fake microphone in hand. So if you're watching on video, welcome. I'm going to give you a bit of a brief experience just about, I guess, my birthday, getting older, which is pretty cool. Some like little insights that I had. Because, like, for some of you who don't know me, I was raised in a really, tumultuous home. And so, drugs were very, very much a part of my upbringing. Not so much me using them in my teenage years, my adult years, yes. Teenage years, not so much, right? And I grew up in a house with, 30 weed plants growing in my backyard in Marrickville. Like, we had a dead set forest. Like... I should have gone to fucking docks. I never did. For better or for worse, probably should have been fucking sent to my grandparents for good. They were the only responsible ones around me. But going from life there and my birthdays throughout those years to my birthday now, yeah, it's kind of wild. Like, I just spent my birthday with my girlfriend and I fucking loved it. Like, I've wrestled with relationships my whole life. I just never had a good one modeled to me when I was growing up. Believe it or not, for some of you listening who don't understand what it's like to have shit house parents, and I love my mum, but it was shit house parenting. I love it from afar, just so in case I'm not talking to her every day. But now I just sat and I went to my birthday dinner. Was with my girlfriend's parents. and it was so fucking civil and so boring, but in a good way. Like, it was really fucking wholesome. And I never had wholesome in my life. Like, ever. I could count on one hand the amount of wholesome moments I had as a child growing up. And that's what always makes me appreciate these moments when I'm getting older and becoming more of the man that I want to be. One, I'm able to fucking be a really good partner to my girlfriend, which really makes me happy that I'm able to be her rock. That's a fucking cool thing, because I was never really a rock. I always wanted to be, but I just didn't have the emotional skill set to be able to be that for somebody else for a long time. I was so all in or all out of everything, and it kind of just, it made life really hard, and I didn't really know how to deal with those symptoms of my psychology at that time. And so having dinner with them, it was like a cake that I didn't want, that I didn't ask for, but I got anyway because her mum's a mum. And I don't know really what that's like to have a mum that forcefully loves you in your life. Like, my mum tried that shit at 25 when I was a bit too little too late. I'm like, brother, don't even try to parent now. Go away. You missed quarter century, bro, of trying to give me boundaries and trying to force me to be loved. And now I don't even want it with a 10-foot pole. And so it was conflicting, because I was like, I don't want any birthday gifts. I don't want any of that shit. Don't fucking give it to me. And then I got given it. And my girlfriend's mum is one of the sweetest fucking ladies you ever meet. She's gorgeous, spiritually, on the inside. And my girlfriend's not ugly either. She's an absolute stunner. So thanks, shout out mum for the genetics. Shout out mum and dad. Corinne would die if she heard me speaking like this. So I like making these podcasts. She doesn't listen. But anyway, look, it was boring, but it was so wholesome. We played Yahtzee. I won. I fucking dominated Yahtzee. Thank God. Otherwise, I don't know, my ego competition would have cooked me. But fuck, it's nice, 33. I remember we were looking at this photo from like 6 months ago, me and Corinne. We've got it because she set up this like, I don't know if you've got like an Alexa or a Google Home or some bullshit, but like syncs up your TV screensaver and all that shit. And so one of the photos, we've actually got, we sat down together and like wrote out what we wanted out of a home when we were to live together. And it was two bedrooms, one car, because I drive a shitbox still to this day. So does she. Because we both just really understand the lack of need financially right now for it. We'd rather put money into the business or just into like the house or whatever. But yeah, it was 2 bedrooms, 1 car, and then like in the area that we live in, and then and then I'm reflecting now back on it. I'm in a podcast room that's just dedicated to this podcast, and like some camera equipment. And we've got a 3-bedroom home. It's 2-story. We've got 2-car garage, and yeah, it's amazing. It's leaning into the really difficult stuff, and fuck, there has been some challenging moments. If not, the whole entire thing has been challenging. I've not stopped working for 7 days for the last 6 months straight now, and it's been like the best period of time for me that I've ever had in my life, easily. And it's brought on so much ability for me to support my partner, both financially and spiritually and like emotionally, physically. But just being the person that I want to be. And then when you have moments like that, when you're having dinner, that it's so foreign to me to have like a sit down dinner for your birthday and just like, just having like playing fucking Yahtzee, and enjoying it too. It's wild. So anyway, I didn't get my fucking cheesecake for my birthday, but I'm a grown man, so I can buy my my cheesecake at a later date, if so be it. But I got everything else, you know what I mean? Got to spend a beautiful day with my missus, and she cooked me breakfast and shit. It was just fucking nice. So anyway, I'm moving right along. But I like this podcast to be as intimate as you can imagine, just because I think it's nice. I don't know, I've always been a pretty straight shooter, open and honest person. But this episode today is talking all about, what are we doing? Weekend blowouts and binges. Was it wines and weekends? Wines and weekends. I think that's what the title was going to be. So I guess a lot of mums in my coaching community, once they come into the program, a common theme is blowouts and wines. So I'm going to give you I like to talk in rambles, and I also like to get really direct in terms of like the nitty gritty of what things are you should understand. So we're probably going to go on a bit of a ramble here and try and stay with me as best you can, because I like to provide full context, and I like to provide a full context of what I'm trying to articulate. And so with the weekend blowouts, we'll start with the wines. So if you're someone that drinks wine and you're trying to lose weight, totally fine, can do. It will make your journey harder. And I'm sober for a reason, 8 months. I think today I'm 8 months, which is amazing. But it can take away things from you, rob you of things that you didn't even know it robbed you of. Energy, confidence, emotional stability, the ability to cope with challenging things in your life as well. That's one that I really find is hard for a lot of people that are in the thick of it, just consistently sinking piss. Because when you drink, it's sort of like all you know. And if you imagine, in my eyes, it doesn't matter about what you decide to use. Could be drugs, sex, rock and roll, humans, like relationships. It could be anything that you use to escape your feelings. Alcohol is just one of those vessels that you use to escape your feelings. Now, I don't care what anybody says. If we could all go out and drink, be sober and be comfortable, we probably would, but a lot of us can't, so we choose to use substances to cope. Food, alcohol, whatever. They're just very socially acceptable, which is fine. But the science and the data on how harmful it is there. Not only that, the effect it has on your relationships is there. So take that into account when you are trying to lose weight. If you can't quit it, that's fine too, but just understand that it is not a good habit for you. It's not something that's going to make your relationships better per se, in my eyes. Everyone's different. It's not something that's going to increase your bank account. It's not something that's going to do anything. If anything, I think you should lean into how uncomfortable you are in the situations that you need alcohol and use that as your teacher. That's where a lot of people go wrong, is they use... I think whenever you use a substance, you stay at the level of ability to cope based on what level of stress you interact with the substance. So let's say if we wanted to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, let's say if you pick up a drink at a scale of 5 out of 10 stress, you're going to pick up a drink at the level of 5 out of 10 stress next time. And then that might even go into a level of 4 stress, that might even go a level of 3, and that's how you start to become an alcoholic, is you start relying on a daily driver. Now, I've seen this happen. I've never really been a daily driver of drugs and alcohol, but I've been a weekly driver, whereas the Friday stress would get too much, and it was just this bad holding pattern that the Friday would come, I'd blow my head off with that drugs and alcohol, and then Monday would come and I'd be back into it. And whenever something stressful, 7 or 6 would even occur, boom, I'd hit the emergency evacuation button and off I'd fucking go in a drug and drink land and blow off my social and, anything else responsibilities. And it just kept me at that level of being able to cope with life at a 6. And then once I quit, and prior to that too, I think traveling across America and Thailand and trying to find a new home and being all alone when I traveled last year for like 4 months, that really taught me a lot about myself and my ability to cope with stress. And it really made me better in a lot of ways. I didn't think that whole eat, pray, love bullshit was going to work for me, but alas, it did. And so that's why I kind of wanted to articulate that point, is because a lot of you don't really know what the benefit is of quitting alcohol. I've got one of my clients at the moment. She shall remain nameless, but she's just signed on for another period of time with me. She absolutely loves the program. And she's like, you get my brain. And I'm like, yep, I fucking do. Raised by a single mom. Like, I think I was very much like, fuck, a lot of that rubbed off on me. So I think I get how women's brains work in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways I don't. But then I know how you interact with things. And I think when it comes to drugs and alcohol, if you can abstain, you increase your tolerance to stress. And so let's say you get to the point where like only at a 9 will you ever drink. Special occasions, whatever. Or like even feeling, because believe it or not, you can not feel comfortable even in the best situations. If it's your birthday and you can't be sober on your birthday, I think by and large is the problem. And if like you need it to have fun, it tells me that your life's not fun enough as is. So I'd rather address the root cause of the problem, and that's what I've done in my life, than try to substitute the problem and have an antidote that's a temporary fix. Because then I'll always be reliant on that antidote to get by. And I just don't like doing that. So I think psychologically and spiritually, alcohol kind of cooks you. But as long as you understand that you're only using it to cope with your life, whether it be a good moment or a supposedly good moment like a birthday or a weekend out or something like that, or to socialize, even that, I guarantee you quit alcohol, you hang around the same people, you're going to have some more questions about whether or not you give a fuck about them. So yeah, I think there's a lot of that. And I think if you can quit it, not only will your health improve, your sleep will improve, your psychology, your relationships will improve, the quality of relationships will improve. Like I've got really rigid standards of who I let in my life and who I don't. And I'm very, very ruthless about it. You're either in or you're out, and that's fine, no judgment. But I think not being swayed by drugs and alcohol has allowed me to have a tighter ship that I can operate from. So I just wanted to sort of add that layer of alcohol and how I sort of look at it, so you guys can understand, maybe adopt some of it in your own thinking. Because as I said before, I think I went on a bit of a tangent, but one of my clients, she stopped drinking or not drinking as much, and she's like, holy shit, like I've really learned a lot about myself in those moments. She had a really stressful moment with one of her sons in the hospital, and she didn't drink. And she was sober before he went into hospital. And she's like, it was great, I had a clarity of mind before an emergency happened. And I've gone, mate, that is fucking beautiful. That's absolutely amazing. That you were there, you were present, you had all your senses about you, and you could actually take that stress and not want to drink. There's a lot of power in that. If you're not someone that struggle with alcohol, think about food, for example, or whatever your stress relieving, your coping mechanism is. Think about how amazing that is to be able to lean into it, hold space for traumatic incidents to occur, and then resolve them with yourself, with your own thinking, with your own patience, with your own grace. It just allows you to build a quality of life between your own ears that most people do not get to enjoy in life. I'm telling you now, and I'll tell you for fucking free, the peace that I have between my ears and the clarity is, it's a beautiful thing. Do I want a dopamine rush every now and then? Absolutely. Is that an option for me in my life anymore? No. Unfortunately, me and the missus were even going to a video game arcade. I think that's where I got my dopamine hit. And I was like, babe, look, I feel like I just need a fucking hit it. Someone just give me something. She goes, do you want to fight? We can fight. And I'm like, oh, fuck off, mate. Like, no, I don't want to fight with you. We surprisingly now, we don't fight at all, which is like a big blessing. We just sit down and have powwows, mate, until the problem's sort of fixed. But we don't yell, raise voices or anything, which is just fucking beautiful. Fucking magic. And it was just so funny. She's like, do you want to have a fight? I'm like, fuck off, mate. She's the biggest legend. But yeah, it's that sort of stuff. I think the benefit of staying sober, it allows you to be much more present, human, and then be able to give to other people too. So it's a two-pronged approach, and I just fucking love it. So if you can take any tidbits, you know, that's a key one. Now let's talk about the blowouts, I suppose, with weekends. Most people think about the weekend blowout as a blowout monster. I don't know if you've ever, like, I don't fucking know. Imagine an accident where you slipped and maybe pushed something, or you broke a plate, for example. You're holding a plate and it slipped out of your hands and it broke. And you're like, oh, fuck, that was an accident. Right? That implies that it wasn't your fault. But you picked up the plate. You dropped the fucking thing. It's technically your fault. Well, it's definitely your fault. It's not technically your fault. It is your fault. But because we say it's an accident, then that allows us to take away the power from ourselves and go, oh, it was an accident. And sure, it's a fucking plate you dropped. But that takes away your ability to empower yourself to maybe even hold on to the plate better the next time. And this analogy isn't purely about plates, but I'm just purely saying it just so you can relate to it on a very small level. And so when you think about blowouts, food blowouts, for example, or alcohol blowouts, or, you know, whatever, you can often see that when we call something a blowout, we label something a blowout, what we're actually doing is taking away our own power. Oh, I had a blowout this weekend, coach. It's like everyone loves to come to me and be like, I had a blowout. There's no such thing as a fucking magical blowout monster, man. Doesn't exist, dude. There is no magical blowout monster. No one's coming to coming to fuck your life. You know what I mean? Like, there's no magical blowout monster that's coming to drug you and then shove food and alcohol down your throat. It's you. And so I think the thing that gave me a lot of power, and the thing that I advise all my gals on, is to understand that it's not a blowout. It's you chose to cope, and you choose to have short-term pleasure over long-term consequence, over long-term, like your long-term goals. So you chose your short-term goal of increasing pleasure, decreasing stress, over your long-term goal of fat loss that will absolutely decrease stress, increase energy, increase you looking better naked, all that stuff. And so I want you to maybe reframe the idea of a blowout as something that's within your control. Because if you don't address it like it's within your control, you're always just going to have blowouts. And so whenever I'm looking at food, for example, me and my missus, we went out, we got ice cream together, and we went and got a half litre. She's like, oh, we're just going to get a scoop. And I was like, nah, bro, it's my birthday. We're rinsing it. We're getting half litre from Anita's. We're getting they have a thing called pretzel sauce. If you ever go to Anita's, gelato, get the fucking pretzel sauce on the side. It'll change your life. And then we got the pistachio sauce too. By the way, $5 for a small tub of pistachio sauce, cheaper than the $20 fucking bullshit pistachio papi, which tastes delectable. But I am a former fatty, as you can tell, current fatty. And so in that same way, I was really happy and okay with the consequences of like the blowout. I was like, you know what? It's my birthday. I'm really happy with that. I know it's not going to support my long-term goal of fat loss, but the short-term trade-off was worth it. And so before you go into any situation, what you should be looking at is am I okay with the long-term consequences of this behavior? If the answer is no, then don't fucking do it. It's like people who earn, you can have two people in this world that earn $100,000 a year and one's broke, one's rich. The person that's wealthy off 100K, they're living in a home that's cheaper to rent. They probably have their car paid off. They probably live really light. They probably don't buy one-off expensive things. They probably are more okay, comfortable in their own skin. They don't need too much. Whereas someone who earns 100K is probably spending money because they make money, and then they just always feel perpetually broke. And that's kind of the issue that you see, I think, with people when it comes to food as well. I'm trying to link this back. But I guess what I'm trying to say in that is like, I guess the short-term ramifications of spending money might bring you short-term gratification and decreased stress. But the long-term isn't going to support your goals of being wealthy. Versus the person who has 100K decides to withhold from short-term pleasure to get long-term gain. And I think that's where a lot of people can benefit when it comes to their fat loss journey, so they don't have these big blowouts. Because like someone who earns 100K, you might want to save for a holiday, and the person who earns 100K but spends $1,000 a week on consumable bullshit might not be able to save for that because they're like, oh fuck, I can't. It's like, well, the reality is you can. You just don't like the short-term consequences. And that's where a lot of fat loss comes down to, is are you okay to withhold from complete indulgence and just have half versus the long-term of being, in shape and de-stressed? Because I guarantee you, the stress of trying to lose weight is 10 times more stressful than the stress of maintaining it properly. Like, it's harder probably, or it takes a lot more nuance to maintain weight, and it's a very different psychological journey to get to, because a lot of people, once they get their goal, because I guess fat loss is all about the chase, it's all about the dopamine hit. I'm hitting it. It's a striving to achieve. Achieving maintenance requires a different energy. It requires a desire for fulfillment versus peaks and troughs. It requires you to be happy with what is versus what you're going to get. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of it is. And so once, you're losing weight, you're like on this rush, on this high, I'm losing fat. And then all of a sudden, you're not. And so the rush is gone. So you want to replace the dopamine with something, so you replace it with food. And then fucking, the weight goes back up. Because you didn't psychologically adjust to a weight maintenance phase as well. And also education-wise and support-wise, you didn't get any. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. And so I guess with blowouts and that sort of stuff, if you can think about your fat loss journey as not something that should be a high, you shouldn't be using food like a drug. If you're looking at food like a drug, you're looking at it wrong. A friend said that to me one time. I think he posted on his stories. But he's like, if you're looking at food like it's drugs, you're looking at food the wrong way. One of my clients, Sagrika, she said the other day, I think it was in one of our Q&As, because we run weekly Q&As. I run them personally. There's 2 of them. And she said, like, hey man, am I meant to be like bored with food? I'm like, yeah, probably. Like, I'm not sitting there like coming to the idea of my chicken tenders in an air fryer. Oh, fuck yeah. Chicken tenders. Wow. But am I really happy with the idea of me maintaining and getting in the best shape of my life? Yes. That excites me. And the idea of maintaining that excites me. Because walking around having a 6-pack all day is mad. I love that. That's something that brings me a lot of joy. Knowing that like I'm in fucking peak physical condition. Fucking vibes for me. You might not be the same, and that's like totally your journey. And doesn't make you a good or bad person, whichever way you sway. That's just the fuel that's just what gets me going. And so the same way with food, it's like if you're looking at it like it's a drug, that's why you're probably fat. It's because you're like, I need a hit. Like I used to be with like, man, I used to go on food safaris with my mate Tyrone when I was like 20, 25. And we were just both little dopamine fiends, mate. So whatever you could give us, we'd fucking have a crack at. We grew up, we went to high school together and shit. And we used to call Sunday a food safari day. So we'd find like 3 or 4 places and just like smash food until we were done. You know, so we'd go to the brand new places in Newtown where like everything was cracking off. We go to brand new bakeries because they had this like cheesecake glaze fucking thing. Like it just went off and it was mad. It was good memes. Those are some fucking really positive times. The food aspect at least, maybe not the other side. The fucking 4 a.m. drinking binges. You can miss me with those. But I guess in that same way, we looked at food like drugs. And if you keep looking at food like drugs, you're always going to want to hit. And so it falls back then to the idea of alcohol and all that sort of stuff as well, giving you that high. Because probably on a Sunday, we probably didn't know what to do with ourselves. We were probably uncomfortable being lazy or sitting down on a Sunday. I know I would have been. I like to do stuff. It's like, I just want to get out of the house. And so like that was our dopamine hit because we needed food like a drug. It was just a lesser drug. And so the same thing happens with your blowouts. You're looking for a way to deal with whatever's in your way, and food's the easiest coping mechanism instead of sitting with yourself. It's hard to go to a party and not drink. It's hard to go somewhere and I don't find it hard these days, but it used to be very, very hard for me to just sit and be with the bloke in between my ears. That guy I was not comfortable with. But the answer to that question, the answer to that challenge was always just more stillness. The answer was just to sit with myself. And that's got me through, you know, I don't binge eat anymore. I don't binge drugs anymore. Like I'm a completely changed human. And it's all because I learned to sit with myself. And so will weekend blowouts ruin your progress? Probably. But if you're someone that's okay with the terms and conditions of not achieving your goals, fucking swing for the, what are they, swing for the hills? Is that the right saying? I don't know, fucking swing hard. Go for it. But, like, go for gold. That's your life, live it. Would I want to live like that? No, it sounds like a fucking weird prison sentence. I've lived it before. But if you're someone that does want change, you need to start looking at your blowouts and start looking at your choices as you choosing something over something else. Because if you disempower yourself, guess what? You're always going to be disempowered. It's always going to be this magical fucking blowout monster that throws you off your goals and it's, oh no, I couldn't. I had another blowout. I didn't, in exchange that for, I didn't take responsibility. I chose short-term pleasure over long-term. And I guess that's all a blowout is I didn't want my long-term, I chose short-term over long-term. That's all it is. I chose short-term pleasure, short-term comfort over my long-term goals. And that's fine if you want to be that person, but you're always going to be that person. The level you rise towards is that circuitry that you reward, that when I'm stressed, when I'm happy, when I'm whatever, I blow out. When I'm around social situations I don't feel comfortable with, I blow out. When I don't know what to do with my hands at a social thing, I blow out. When I meet up with the girls, I blow out. You're just reinforcing that behavior. Because that's if you think about your brain as like a circuit and it gets stronger with every behavior. So every time you drive your car, you get better at driving your car technically. Every time you cook, you get better at cooking. And so if you look at that behavior as something that you're learning to teach yourself how to get better at, you're just reinforcing that. And that's what I guess they say, that's what they mean when they say reinforcing. It's you're just getting better at that behavior, making it more efficient, more effective to get your way, more effective at reducing stress, all that sort of shit. So you want to work as hard as you can to not participate in that behavior and not reinforce that behavior and not teach yourself how to do that behavior better. Because the better you get at it, the more fun it becomes almost. And the easier it is to fall into. Yeah. So man, I think overall, when it comes to your weekend blowouts, look at it like it's a way to cope with what you're currently facing. and you're using a blowout as a way of letting off steam and coping with your life, a blowout isn't a magical monster. A blowout isn't this magical thing that you're not in control of. You're not a victim. You are completely to blame, or you are to be completely held to account on whatever it is that you do. If you decide to weigh in the next day, do any of that dumb shit, that's all on you. And so we just do it to bully ourselves, to show ourselves that it's not working so we can stay uncomfortable in the discomfort. That's all that sort of happens. Is that you're like, I want to go back to what's comfortable for me, which wasn't dieting, which wasn't looking after myself. I want to go back to miserable. So I'm going to do some behavior that takes me back there without me even really understanding long-term consequences. Do we know what we're kind of doing in the moment? I'd say yes. But are we aware of the long-term ramifications? Are we doing consequential thinking when we're doing that behavior? Probably not. You know, it's like when you go for a drink. I always just think about the hangover the next day and how it's going to fuck my week, and it's already immediately pulls me back into reality. I do not want any of that. Do I want the 3 hours rush that it gives me, or 6 hours or 10 hours rush? Sure. But do I want to pick up the pieces of that rush? No. No, ma'am. Hard pass. And so I'm not then a victim to that behavior. Oh, it's so hard to break the cycle. Oh, I keep having blowout. It's like, no. Because now I'm in control. I say what goes in my life. Really powerful place to be in. So I wish that all for you. Start taking responsibility of your blowout. Start saying, I chose short-term over long-term. I'm choosing to not adhere to the things that I need to do. I'm not comfortable in X place, so I behave like X. There's no blowout monster coming to ram donuts down your throat. It's, I act like this in X setting. Am I comfortable with X consequence? Probably not. Do not do X thing in X setting. You've just taught yourself how to do that repeatedly and you're just unaware of it. But now that you are, hopefully it'll bring about some change in your life. Listen to that. Can you hear that creak? That's a $200 lounge from Temple & Webster. You beauty. Anyway, got to grease that thing up. Anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed episode 4 of the Mum to MILF podcast. Weekends, wines, and blowouts. Probably going to be the title of this. Is it ruining your progress? A couple of cool things that are coming up if you're listening. If you're a Sydney sider, I am doing a 2-hour seminar, Basement Health Fitness, June 14th, 2025. Starts at 5 p.m. Tickets are $99. Flick me a DM if you're keen. Flick me over an email, wherever the fuck you want to reach me. Do your best. If I don't reply within a day, I didn't get it. So try again, please. And yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to run through all the exercise basics that you need to know, nutritional Q&As. We're going to set up your calories. We're going to do all that sort of fun shit for you. So be on the lookout for that. Flick me a DM if you want to purchase a ticket. I think there's about 9 spots left. And we'll rock and roll. But otherwise, peace in the Middle East, all that good shit. And I'll see you gals on the next podcast. Thanks for joining in on number 4. It was cool. Appreciate it.